All right, we are now counting down for you, Warner. 2, 1, go.
All right, hello and welcome back to the meal. This is your host, Warner B. You know what we do here? We talk about different topics. We talk about self-care. We talk about relationship help. We talk about recovery and addiction. And so today I'm really pleased to have a special guest with me today, Rachel Foster. And Rachel is here with me to kind of share share her life story and to talk about recovery support. And I'm glad to have her here. How you doing today, Rachel? How's it going?
Good. I'm glad to be here.
Okay. And so one of the things, me and Rachel, we've been working together for several years, and she's really good at the job that she does. And she does a lot of in the chemical dependency center. Like I said, a lot of people don't know this is what I do full time. And so substance abuse is really dear to my heart. And Rachel is one of like the unseen heroes. Because a lot of times in addiction, we have so many times when people are not, it's a lot of failures. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times we have a lot of deaths. We have a lot of times when people have setbacks. And so a lot of people don't know the different things that go on in order to keep people in recovery. So Rachel, one of her many tasks she does is in recovery support. So I'm going to give her a little enlightenment on recovery support. We're also going to talk about, let her share her life story when we get to it. So Rachel, can you kind of tell me a little bit what you do at the Chemical Dependency Center here?
Yeah, recovery support, that's somebody in recovery.
Okay.
And that's actually the only reason I got the job, because I was in recovery.
Okay.
And it's a lot easier for a client or someone in addiction to talk to somebody else in addiction, other than just somebody that knows the book knowledge.
Okay.
And I've seen it time and time again that they'll come talk to me and not want to talk to their counselor or something. And it's just easier. And it was easier for me to talk to somebody, because I went to AA. It was easier for me to talk to somebody there than my family, or some. And I think recovery support is much needed. I think it's a way to get to the people a lot quicker than just a counselor.
And so saying recovery, how long have you been actually in recovery now?
12 years.
12 years. That's awesome. 12 years of recovery. Okay.
I've actually been working there for 11.
Okay. So you kind of immediately got into the thing.
Yeah, I was 9 months clean.
Wow.
And I'd actually met the guy at AA, and he was on the board. I needed a job because I was right out of treatment. And he sent me up there and told me to go talk to Don Brown, and I did. And a grant had just come available for recovery support because it was new. It was pretty new then. And it was like a 6-month grant.
Okay.
And I was hired for that. And at first we didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. So I just talk to the clients and what I normally do. I tell them my story and what I've gone through and just kind of feed off of it.
Okay.
And I don't ever say you. I say what I did.
Right.
I do it that way. Because if I can show them how I've stayed clean and sober all these years, then that's the best way, I think, anyway.
Okay. And recovery support it's a new program that a lot of people don't know about. Right. And it's been shown to be effective. And what it's showing is that even though when people go through treatment, it's the follow-up, you know what I'm saying? And that's the same way like in the medical field. They feel like when you have something, that follows up with it. And so recovery is not just in, within the building, but it's also after, as well. And that's what we call like aftercare. Yeah. And so it's the continued help. And so I think a lot of times we're so used to just the AA only, right? But it's an addition to, right? It's not just AA, it's addition to.
Right. You can do that and the AA or NA and church and whatever else you want to do. But, yeah, because, you see them while they're in treatment, but then you continue to see them once they leave treatment for up to 6 months. Okay. And so, early in recovery, people need that. They need that support system. Because a bad support system can break you. Right. Yeah.
And so it gives them structure. Right? Yeah. So you need a lot of structure when you're coming out of recovery. Okay. So do you think it's important? You think it's a good thing? Recovery support, is that something that?
I think it's a very good thing, and I think it should continue for many decades, because I've seen more success stories with peer support or recovery support than before. you know, and counselors are great. You know, I'm not knocking counselors, but I do think the experience outweighs the book,
Okay.
you know, and they think that way too.
Yeah. I think it's a combination. I think
Yes.
I think we need
Like, I'm
all of
going
it.
to school now,
Okay.
you know, to get the book knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, I just did it backwards.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong. I think that's great. I think so. That's kind of why. And I tell a lot of when I talk to people, I say when you see somebody in like chemical dependence or something like that, it's never because of the money. It's always because they do it. So what kind of keeps you in this field?
It helps me,
Okay.
you know, to stay clean and sober because and then it just makes you feel good about yourself because you're able to help somebody else.
Okay. So it's kind of intrinsic reward, kind of.
And because just by me going there every day and seeing these people, and it reminds me of where I was one time in my life. And it reminds me of where I don't want to be.
Okay.
And so that helps to see that up for it. Because, you know, a lot of people don't work in a treatment center, but they're in recovery. So they have to get that from their meetings and all that. So I get it from working in it and my meetings also.
That keeps you kind of sharp as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think when I first came, you told me you said, "Hey, I need this. I need to be in it." You know what I'm saying? It's important to me to be able to always be able to have that connection with the people.
Because they tried to take me away from it. You know, because I've been in so many different jobs at Warren. But that was I wanted to always do my group.
Yeah.
You know, because it was important to me.
Yeah. And so you're good at it. And I think that's one of the things that I fought for when we did it, to keep you in there, because it helps you. And then it also it's because a lot of times I think we have a disconnection. I think that's the missing piece a lot of times in recovery, is that, you know, it's a disconnect with people we always talk about it here, is that about iron sharpening iron. And people who have been through things, you know what I'm saying? Like people who've been in, you know, in war together, people who like being in Vietnam, and those people who've been in, that's basically a war, you know, being in recovery, chemical dependency, it's a war. And you know how it is, you know what it took to be successful. And one of the things that I was telling Curtis on them when we started here before is that, you know, from everybody I've met in recovery, they kind of share this thing. They're kind of hard nosed. They're not all about the softness. They're not all about, and counselors, we taught to do that. We know, unconditional positive regard, but then something about, you know, being in recovery, you know what I'm saying? People who are in it, they're kind of like no BS people. They don't want to, you know, they hold people accountable. They care about them. No, because they do it and they care, but at the same times, when you're not, you know, being up to standard, or you playing around and you messing around, I know you and then Singrid and people who like Mr. Larry, they just say, hey, they bull crapping, they just want to use, or they not, you know, they not being truthful, you know, and mean it with a good heart.
You're right, and I just make them accountable.
Right.
You know, I'll write them up in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Because there's consequences behind every action, and I think that's a way of teaching that. You don't get there on time, so this is going to happen.
And don't forget, you can't bullshit a bullshitter.
Right.
Excuse the language, but we've done that dance. I know the excuses. I can sing the song of "Let me tell you this," because it's really just to let me do what I want to do. I ain't jumping in y'all conversation, but I'm just saying, you can't mess around with somebody who just messed around.
The nurse, she asked me, you know, my opinion a lot, because I've been there. Are they just wanting medicine, or do they really need it, you know? Because a lot of times, especially pill takers, you get used to taking medicine. So then just in itself, that's an addiction.
You help me with that a lot. You said one, you know, people who take pills just want to take something. It's not the fact that they want a cough drop. They just used to taking something. Used to putting something, they have an oral fixation, you know what I'm saying? And so, you know, and that's what I love about, you know, our field, is that we have so many different people who are experts on different things. And it's together, is that group. And that's what it's called. It's the group. We're able to kind of give them better treatment.
Right, because I even help the counselors, you know, with the drugs. You know what, like, is this certain drug stimulant or what? I'm the drug expert.
And it's something that you can use, something that could have been something that was harmful. Now you're able to use something that's helpful. And at the end of the day, we're still to help people, but also being aware, and just being aware of what happens. Like I said, you helped me a lot, you know what I'm saying, since I've been in so many different ways, you know what I'm saying, but also to be able to have an understanding, because it's a boots on the ground person. Just like a person that is, you know, having a shared experience. a lot of times we don't understand that. Just having the experience of being in that field and knowing how it is to be out there and thinking this and being in recovery and having these different things and sharing that helps a lot of people. And so all that kind of to get to like the life story. I know we kind of waiting on the life story, but Rachel has a unique life story, and then she's one of the success stories because a lot of times in recovery, the success rate is really small. Like I said, it's 30% in like just regular counseling, 30% in that. And so when you go into like substance abuse, it's like 15%, and then the success rate is like maybe 3% because we have so many deaths with it, so many relapses.
Most people relapse. I mean, it even says that in the big book. You will probably relapse.
Right. Right.
And that doesn't mean it's over. And that's what I tell everybody. Don't be ashamed because you're back. Just pick up.
Keep on going.
Try again.
Right. It's a race. It's a journey, right? It's not a sprint.
Yeah.
It's a race. And then so many people, one of my best friends, he's been in it like 25 years. But he told me for the first 12, he told me he went to recovery, like it was 12 times. He said he went to a place before he got it. You know what I'm saying? But now he's been in recovery.
And it takes that for some people, I think what helped me, by the time I got to treatment and everything, I was just sick and tired. I was ready for a change, and you have to want it. It's not going to work unless that person wants it.
So the parents can't want it for them.
No.
Spouse can't want it for them.
And even if a judge is telling you to do this, you're not going to do it for the judge.
Right. We've seen it too many times, right? We see it every day. But it's when a person is made up their mind. I think that's when I talk to men's group about that. When you've made up your mind that you're going to do it, you're going to deal with all the pain and the suffering and all that as well. So,
and at the time, I had reservations. I had plenty. I'm like, I'm going to go do this so I can get back to doing this. I did have those reservations, but thank God by the time I got out of drug court, I didn't want to do that.
With all that said, let's go and get to your life story because now you're going to tell us pieces of anticipating. So kind of, Rachel, kind of tell us kind of your life story because I know you do life story. Now, before the end, so when you talk about life story, I know that you do the grouping as life story. And that's my favorite thing.
Yes, life story group. And I think it's probably their most important group they do there.
Okay.
Because for one, it's where they can just get it out.
Okay.
Because that's one step, just getting it all out. Because if we keep everything bottled up inside, we won't ever get better.
Okay. Wow.
And but then on the other hand, you're able to get feedback from your peers.
Yeah, that's my favorite
people
part.
in group.
Right. I love that part.
Character defects, things that we don't want to hear. Everybody
the nasty bitch.
I'm always trying to start stuff because of my group. And no, it teaches people how to take constructive criticism and work on themselves and try to do better.
If they choose to, right?
If they choose to.
What I tell them in the group a lot of times when I see the life stories, I said if more than one person said, you got 30 peers and 25 of them said it's playing around or you're not taking it seriously, even if you don't believe so,
you might need to look at it.
I need to look at it, right? So that's I love that about the life story. And guess what? That's the most backlash we get out of anything, right? People not wanting to tell their story.
Yeah.
People not wanting to, because when you say it, it's out there, right? You have to deal with it. So I love that part. So
and I do tell them, what's said in here stays in here. And if I find out you're talking about this group outside of here, we go into Mr. Warner's office.
That's awesome.
And they usually don't, because I had a problem at first. Like when group was over, they'd go outside or whatever, and why'd you say that about me and all this, But I got them to stop that because it's just their opinion,
right?
And it's up to you if you take it or their advice or not.
Right, and that's even like when they get home. You know what I'm saying? Because when you leave out of recovery, a lot of times what I like to talk to people about is that you can say you're going to change, but that doesn't mean your family is going to believe you.
Right.
You got to be okay with understanding that just because you're deciding to change now, that doesn't. They probably heard that story 100 times. You know what I'm saying? So you have to understand yourself that everybody's not going to be accepting of it.
I was telling a client just this last week, I'm like, think of how many times you've told him this and then turned around and did it anyway. Yeah. So they're not. You got to show them. Right. You got to prove to them that you are changing and that you're not going to do that anymore. Right. Your words mean nothing.
Nothing, yeah. And that's AA, right? One day at a time. It's every day. It's a different thing. So, with all that being said, Rachel, can you kind of tell us a little bit of your life story, whatever you want to share with us? That it'll be because I know it's really interesting. I'm excited about hearing it again. So, yeah, please tell me know.
Oh, that's funny. I had a good childhood. I had a good family. I'm from a good family. I met my husband when I was 17.
Okay.
I was still in high school. As soon as high school, I thought I knew everything. And I moved out of my mom's house and moved in his house. And we got married 3 years later. And I had my daughter 3 years later. And then I had my son 4 years later. Before that, I mean, I really didn't take opiates because that was my drug of choice, pain pills, opiates. Maybe for like a wisdom tooth or something, but it wasn't nothing where I'd just keep taking it.
Okay.
But after I had my son, my back really started hurting me and giving me problems. And they found out I had scoliosis, degenerative disc disease, and a bulging disc in my lower back.
So you were in a lot of pain?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought I was.
Okay.
And it still hurts today, but I've learned to actually moving around and doing stuff actually helps.
Okay.
Where back then I thought I needed the pain pill to make it stop. So a lot of it's in your head. And I learned that in recovery.
Okay.
But back then I just thought I was in so much pain and I just had to have pain pills. And so he started prescribing me a lot, 90 Lortab-10s, 90 Somas.
So you're a doctor?
My doctor, yes. And 240 methadone. And I did that for a couple of years. And so I was a walking zombie, pretty much. And, but then he was overprescribing everybody. So they, fired him and he left the state. And so when that happened, I was addicted at that point. I had to have it. If I didn't have an opiate, I was definitely sick. Couldn't get out the bed. Going through really bad withdrawals, like flu-like symptoms. You just feel like you want to crawl out your skin. And so you do anything you can to make that stop. And so I started spending all my money, all my husband's money, pawning my jewelry, his jewelry. I was buying OxyContin off the streets. It was like $80 for one little pill.
So what made you? I got to ask. So how did you ever come up with that? How did you find out that I can go to the street and get OxyContin? What kind of got you into that?
Well, I mean, I knew people. I mean, I've known people out there doing it. Because when I was on the pills, I would run out early. Okay. And then, so I would buy a few.
So you kind of started that?
I kind of started like that.
Okay.
And then when he was gone, I started doing it more.
Wow. Okay.
And people talk, and you just learn like where to look and who to talk to and all that.
Okay.
And so I did that for a while, but at the same time, I was hiding my addiction from my husband. He was hiding his addiction from me, which was he was cooking and making it and selling meth. And we were trying to live two separate lives and then come together, and it just doesn't work. And so he ended up having two affairs. The first one was in 2007. It didn't last real long. But the last one did. He left and he was gone. We were separated by 8 months. But when that happened, it was like my world fell apart because he's all I knew. And I couldn't get out the bed. I went into a deep depression. I was neglecting my kids, was not taking care of them, was not being a good mother. And I ended up signing temporary custody to my mom. Thinking it wasn't going to be long because it was temporary, right?
Right.
Well, that ended up going on for 5 years. And so, but actually we were going to go and we were in the process of getting them back. But, he was gone for the 8 months. Well, 8 months, we decided to get back together.
Okay.
And so when I went back, that's when I started doing meth. But by that time, I'd got on Suboxone and I was off the opiates pretty much.
So Suboxone
Suboxone is, it saved my life. It's Medicaid-assisted treatment. Where it's an opiate blocker.
Okay.
And so it keeps you from going through the withdrawals and the physical pain from the opiates. And saved my life. You know, it got me off of the opiates. And then I started doing the meth, and it took me down quick. You know, I was able to do opiates for years. Nobody ever even knew it. You know, I was a functioning addict. I still went to work. I still did everything as long as I had it. It was when I didn't have it, it was when I couldn't get out to bed. And that's what some people don't understand. You're fine when you have it, it's when you don't have it. That's when the withdrawals come and you're sick and can't move and you just want to crawl out your skin. And so I'm very empathetic when people come into treatment on opiates. I try to advocate for them because I know how they're feeling.
Understand it, right.
It's not a good feeling at all. And because some drugs don't do that. Like meth, there's not any really withdrawals for meth or cocaine, but opiates will bring you down quick, kind of like alcohol. And so when I signed temporary custody, but we were about to get them back, but then that's when we got arrested.
So you got back on meth and you get arrested?
Yeah, I got arrested. When I got back on meth, we did that for about 2-3 years. And then we were set up, but that's okay because it saved me. And so until we were arrested, they had all entrances to our house blocked. We weren't getting home that day. And so they took us to jail. And when I say us, I mean me and my husband. It's really funny. We got arrested together. We pled into drug court together. We went to treatment at the same time. But that's the only reason we're still married.
That's something. Yeah.
And so, you know, it was a Friday, so they took us to jail, and then we bonded out Monday. And then we were out on bond for a whole year. And we continued to cook and smoke meth. And that's how powerful addiction is. You know, if you get caught, you're out on bond. And if you get caught doing this, they going to throw you away. But you just don't think about it. You just keep doing it. And so we did it up until the day we went to court. We went to court in March of 2011. No, 2012. I pled guilty and for drug court. It was the only time I'd been arrested in drug courts for nonviolent offenders who are addicts, who need help rather than being thrown in jail. And so we both got drug court, and I went to treatment for 90 days.
How did you find out about drug court? How did you find out they had that offer?
Well, I had heard about it, you know, because I worked at the courthouse for those 10 years. And that's when Judge Baller was doing it. And so I knew it was out there, and I'd known a couple people that went through it. And I really needed help. I needed treatment. And before they sent me treatment, I knew nothing about the 12 steps or nothing. That was the first time I seen it. I went to treatment in Greenville, Mississippi for 90 days, and it saved my life. And when I got out, I didn't have nothing. No car, no job, no nothing. But drug court wants you to work. And
so I know that's good. We'll stop right there, Paul. So tell me, when you went to treatment, when you went into what kind of transpired in that? Because you came out changed. You felt like you was different when you came out. So what changed you in what changed you in treatment
well, my counselor, she was in recovery, so she helped me a lot, telling me what she did and really learning the 12 steps. I'm more of a 12-step person. Some people go the faith-based way, but 12 steps help me more. And I just tell people whichever one works better for you. You know, they both work. And then eventually you can put them both together, you know. But really learning the 12 steps, learning what they mean and how to put them into my life. A lot of people just think it's words on a paper, but it's not. It teaches you how to live the right way. And I think looking at myself, because I had become real codependent. on my husband.
Mm-hmm.
It was an unhealthy relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It was a toxic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I couldn't do anything without him.
Mm-hmm.
I was my self-esteem was very low at that point. I thought very little of myself. Now I have high self-esteem. Me and him have a healthy relationship, and it's all because of the program and the 12 steps. I tell everybody that we would not still be together if it wasn't for that.
Wow. So you get out. You say you can't find a job. They want you to work.
Yeah. See, drug court wants you to work.
Okay.
Okay. So I didn't have a job, so I had to do community service.
Okay.
So many hours a week until I found a job. And so I did community service for a little while. I was picking trash up off the road and stuff. And it doesn't go towards your fines or anything. It's just to give back to the community. That's what the judge tells you.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, but I was going to my meetings. You know, with drug court, you have to go to so many meetings a week. You have to go to court every week, and you have to get a sponsor and have a job. It teaches you how to be a productive member of society, really.
So the sponsor, what does that kind of come out with that?
A sponsor is somebody who's already at AA or NA, who has been through the steps already, and they can help you work through the steps.
Do you think that's beneficial?
I think it's very beneficial. You know, I even took my sponsor to court with me when I finally got the kids back that day. You know, it's just somebody for you to lean on and talk to in times of need.
So it's adding that structure still.
That support system.
And then being alike, being through it, they know you feel in certain kind of ways. So.
And I had picked someone, she had been sober for 20-something years, you know. I wanted somebody who had some years up under their belt. And usually that's what you look for. Okay. Like I wouldn't want a sponsor with just a year of...
Right. They still undercover.
Right. They still babies.
Right. So you get out, you get your sponsor. I mean, you start doing that.
I started going to meetings, and I met this guy that worked at Warren Yazoo. Well, he was on the board for Warren Yazoo. And he told me to go up there and talk to Don Brown. And so I did. And I just told him I needed a job. I didn't care what it was. And a 6-month grant had come available for recovery support. It was brand new. And it had to be somebody in recovery. And so I got that job, and I've been there ever since. But recovery support is just talking to them, telling them what you've been through, and giving them encouragement that you can do this. It is possible. Right. I think recovery support, instead of you telling them, hey, you can do that, they're actually seeing it happen in you. Right. You know.
Your success story, you know. I think you are. And I think that, you know, one of the things they added to community mental health was called peer support, you know, peer support, recovery support. And it's people who are going through it. Like we have one on the mental health track.
Yes.
Then you also have it on the...
Because you can relapse on mental health too. Right, you quit taking your medicines and all that.
And so your medicine and substance abuse is what? Taking your, you know...
It's doing my meditation and my meetings and talking to people in recovery and my animals.
Yeah, I think he's an animal person. Yeah, that is so, you know, I appreciate so much you sharing your story. That is amazing because, you know, working with Rachel, you know what I'm saying, I know she's just a good worker, she's a hard worker, but sometimes you don't know. And the reason I like, you know, I wanted you on here to tell your story because a lot of times people don't know. They just see you in a job, driving to work, coming in, fussing about this, telling you why they ain't been in class. They don't know that you're in it. You got a lot of skin in the game. Yeah. You got time in the game. You know what I'm saying? And you're not far from that. And sometimes what I would do a lot of times with my, you know, people who are listening is that I call Rachel in sometimes. Sometimes I get somebody in and they talking and like they don't understand. I said, well, hold on a minute, let me go call somebody who understand.
And that was funny with that one girl because she actually started talking there for a minute. Yeah. But I think they can talk to people in recovery a lot because you can get on their level. Right. You know, you can talk on their level and everything. And I think when you talk on their level, they feel more comfortable.
Right. And it is valuable. Like I said, Rachel's been real valuable. But it's so many different things.
you know, because I'd lost my kids. And so I was 2 years clean when I finally went back to court. And all the other times I'd just been a basket case and crying and everything. And we were 2 years clean, and I asked my sponsor to go with me just for support. And I finally just asked him if I could say something. And I said, we all know what I've done in the past and what he's done. And we can keep bringing that up all day long. I said, but I really think, we both have stable jobs. We have a house. You know, we've been clean 2 years. We deserve a chance to prove to our kids who we are today. Because it had been 5 years. And so that's when he finally ordered us to counseling. And I was able to see my kids again and talk to them. And then just, you know, we did that for a little while. And then they started visiting us at the house. And then they just never left. And so that was probably about 9 years ago.
Wow. It's been a process, right?
Yeah.
It has been had its ups and downs going back through, and you know what I'm saying, like, you know.
And it did affect my son, you know, I'm still dealing with that. But you know, I love him.
Yeah. But it's working, but you work and you work hard on it every day.
Yes.
You know, and I think a lot of times in recovery, people don't understand. And when they come in, especially like ladies who are like, you know, I just want my kids back. I just want my kids.
And I try to talk to them. I really do, you know, because it's not going to happen overnight. And that's what you want. You want to go do this treatment and then show them that you did this, and you think they're just going to hand them back to you. And that's just not how it works. You know, you can get them back. You just have to jump through every hoop they want you to jump through, you know.
Right.
And I mean, it's my fault.
Right.
But
that's the consequence. I guess that's the part that a lot of times in recovery, people don't understand. And so that's why they have people like you, or to help them understand. Because we can, you know, a person can say it from a therapist's point of view, but when a person has been there saying that, you know what I'm saying, I understand you, I feel what you feel, but at the same time, this is what's happening. And it's not, you know, not the person to be mad at the system, but mad at the drugs. And this is the things that kept me from my children. This you know, my addiction. So I need to be mad. So when I want to use, then I got to think about this thing in the problem.
And I tell them that too. I said, like, you know, what keeps me sober a lot of times is I think about where I was on that last day. That last day, you know, not that in the beginning where you were having fun and everything was great. Think about where you were on that last day, because I was sitting in a jail cell. You know, that's not where I want to be.
Right.
So I keep that in the front of my mind. You know, I keep.
That's one right here.
I keep
Oh Lord,
it powered off.
Okay, we're going to.
So that is very interesting.
Power it back on. We still going.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so where was I?
You said you think about the last day.
Yes, last day. I try to keep that in my mind, you know, because if we still reminisce about the good times, then we're gonna try to go do it again.
Right.
But if we keep the bad times and where it gets us, where it eventually leads us to, then we might stay away from it a little more.
So that's kind of like when they talk about the war stories thing. That's that.
Yes.
We only think about the war stories and the good times, and that's all you're gonna focus on that.
And you know, in the life story group, I do not allow them to do that.
Right.
You know, if I see them going that way, I will stop them.
Right.
Let's get back to why we're here.
Yeah. When their eyes glow.
I don't care how many drugs are sitting on the table.
Right. Yeah. When their eyes get glossy and they get glossed over and they start thinking about it and reminiscing. That's how it's the same way in any kind of relationship.
Yeah.
You only think about the good times you had. Like when I was dating so and so, and they start thinking and they but he used to, you know, beat you. You forgot about that part. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, we only see our addiction as the good part. We'll never be able to see it in a different kind of way. So that's good. So yeah, that is awesome, Rachel. So I most definitely appreciate you sharing that part about it. It's a lot in that. It's a lot in that story. It's a lot
it is. And
transparent. So you and your mother, how was that? How was that with the relationship?
It took time. You know, it took time. She was mad, and I was mad at her at the time. Not now, looking back, I'm very grateful that she was there to take care of my kids.
You were able to see it better, right?
And they didn't get put in the system.
Yeah.
You know,
That's a blessing. That really
it is.
Because we know that too. A lot of the times it happens still,
and they were taken care of and loved and given everything they could ever need. So I couldn't ask for anything, better.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do that for them at that time.
Mm-hmm. And so you feel like that the recovery itself helped save your marriage as well, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, we wouldn't have made it if it wasn't. Yeah. Because, it changed him, but it also changed me. It made me a more independent person where I wasn't so dependent on him. Mm-hmm. So we could actually be two individual people with a healthy relationship other than me depending on him for everything.
Right.
And people look like, God, because I've learned how to do a lot of things for myself. Mm-hmm. And that makes me feel better too, just being able to do it for myself and not have to ask someone. Mm-hmm. But and so we have a healthy relationship today because, we both put in the same amount of effort. Mm.
So it sounds like, it really matured you actually kind of, even though it was a situation that was bad, it helped you, it did a lot of help for you too.
And it was funny because when I got out of treatment, I told them on the way home that I was going to work in a treatment center one day. Wow. And just being in treatment for them 90 days did that. And I see that happens to a lot of people because they come to me, what do you have to do to be a peer support, And I tell them, you have to have 6 months clean and go through the little training and stuff. But, because I think they see that it helps me doing it.
Mm-hmm. And I think that means it's a good seed. That means that you're planting something good, with them also. And then one thing I found about, community mental health is one of the most forgiving places. A lot of places, if you have like a recovery, they know you in it, they don't help. And even when people relapse, they're able to come back and get help. And so that's when I got a chance to understand that we did that. That's one of the things I really love about, community mental health is that.
Because I don't think it doesn't matter how many times you've been to treatment. Yeah. Because that next time could be the time where you succeed.
Right.
And if I tell you no, then I would be the person standing in the way.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's a beautiful thing because it is because your brain changes and it actually changes and you always and that pathway never leaves. It's always there, and so it's always a fight. It's a decision every day. I use to not feel that way
And I know they teach you about coping skills and stuff. My animals, that's what, that's what keeps me busy and it makes me happy. And that's, that's what I do when I get home to get rid of everything else.
Yeah, that's awesome. You got to find your way though. So you found and everybody's different. Some people's are exercise, some people are cooking, family, but yours is animals. And that's, that's okay. That's a whole, it's a whole area of medication, like with animal things, even prisoners use like animals, different things like that. That is recovery, that's a recovery thing. So, if it works and it's been working all these years, you have to keep on working it. But, what I'm saying? But Rachel has quite a few animals.
A lot.
Has quite a few animals. She has great story. I told her she ever get on YouTube and do them, she will be a millionaire.
I know.
Just telling her story. So, but Rachel, Perz, you got any questions before we kind of wrap this thing up? Because, she has a great story. I really have enjoyed listening to it.
Well, I want to apologize to you about we've been dealing with my technical issues for quite a while. And I do apologize to you. I did want to talk to you briefly about your experience. I remember you mentioning how important the peer support is and you being in recovery and then going straight to work to help people. Mm-hmm. I remember when I myself was in recovery also, well, currently we never get out.
Right.
Going to a facility in Memphis. And I remember you and I were discussing before the show, the importance of not leaving immediately. Let me put a camera on myself, I guess. Not leaving immediately from recovery and going directly back home, right, but taking some time to stay in a little bit longer. And I know you kind of had a blessing to go from being in the treatment facility to working there. Yeah. A lot of people don't get that opportunity. A lot of people go from 30 days clean and sober right back home. And I know you and I can definitely understand how difficult it is. And I remember you mentioning this also to Warner, your family don't believe you changed. You can feel any kind of way you want to. You can think as positive as you want to about your situation when you were in treatment, but you bringing 12 steps back to where you were also using.
Yeah.
And the people around you didn't get sober, just you. So I know for me, I had a blessing. I was able to move to another location. So it was a little bit easier then.
I told him that I refused to go back to the house that we did live in. So we were actually paying 2 notes at one time just to keep from going back out there. And so we did what we had to do to stay clean.
Because
we only sold the old place, but for a little while we were paying 2 just to not go back out there.
So you actually did go through that. What they say, people, places, and things, we have to change them if we want to have successful. I don't think people understand how important that is.
Environment is bad. Yeah. A lot of people who return, they end up having they go back into addiction is because they have to go right back to that same.
They have nowhere else
community.
To go.
Right.
Now, we also had people that went back, like Singer, who I want to have on here one day. She went back to her same community, but her mind was made up no matter what she went through.
Right.
She wasn't going to change. But she's stronger. She's strong in that area. And that doesn't mean that you're weak because you do it. She just has that strength. But a lot of times when people relapse because they are forced to go back to that environment. They're forced to go around those same people or they family use. And so even when we do the scoring system, if they have an environment where everybody around them use, they score so high a lot of times they end up having to have another place because they're not. Because you're still, you're a baby. You're a baby in recovery. And now I got to go back into this system.
And it's like that saying, you keep going around the barbershop, eventually you're going to
get your hair cut. So have they in 2024? I know it's a long time ago, but when I initially went into treatment, and I know you and I were talking earlier, you mentioned to Warner how sometimes people go through it 1, 2, 12 times before we actually get it. I'm a repeat offender myself.
And luckily I'm not. I went the one time but I think what helped me was by the time I got to treatment, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I was ready for a change.
Right.
And that's very important. Because if I don't want it, then it's not going to be.
And having your kids also, I think, might have been a little bit of motivation more so for someone like me who doesn't have kids. And it's almost I'll just say it is almost impossible to date today and there not be alcohol and drugs involved in some form or fashion.
I can imagine.
So you basically need to date somebody in the meetings. And the thing about that is you don't want to. We sick up in that room. Yep. So the dating stock ain't that high in there for the first couple of years. You got to give them a while. So, and I understand wholeheartedly why they recommend that we stay single for a year and a half, because you don't know yourself anymore. Right. So trying to go into a relationship with somebody, you don't know you.
That was something I left out. After me and my husband went home, I ended up leaving him for a few months. And it had nothing to do with him, and it's like I told him, I said, we never dealt with the affair. We never even talked about it. And it was like we just pretended it didn't happen. And that wasn't healthy.
Unfinished business, right?
Yeah, it was unfinished business. And so I left for a little while. I did for a few months and just to focus on me. And then we came back together and we talked about it. And we talked about it that one time and we never mentioned it again. And we had to do that. Yeah. And you have to be and I chose to forgive him. And I think if you choose to forgive the person, then you do not need to keep bringing it up because you chose to forgive them.
That's over. That's a whole That's a whole session.
I know.
Yeah, because you know that's a big thing. So that's awesome. Yeah, because if you're gonna, you know, that's what a lot of couples don't know. If you're gonna go forward, there's no way we can be tethered to the back.
Right.
If I have an anchor into old things, I'll never move forward.
Right.
Because we're trying to go this way.
Yeah.
And if I'm always talking about that way, and that's hard. It's really hard for that person that has to be the one that's doing the forgiving.
Right.
That's the tough part. Because the other person don't have the heavy weight. You got the heavy weight.
You know, and he had problems with women, but I had problems with money. So we both had our issues, you know, and where he doesn't trust me with money.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I didn't trust him with the women. And so, yeah, I was really bad with money, and I'm still not very, very good with it. But I don't just throw it away like I used to. But like I said, I took all of our money and went and bought pills and whatever else.
That's addiction. You know, that was your addiction. The addiction makes a lot of people don't understand, especially family members who are in that. They don't understand that you are another person. They're like, I don't even know that person no more. I said, they don't know who they are. They're just surviving. But when you tell a person that, all I know is that they take, you know, I always remember this guy, I think was dealing somebody, he took this guy track to the $200,000 track. That's all I always think about. All he knows is that you sold his $200,000 track. It doesn't matter he don't care that you're another person. All he knows is that his tract is missing and it costs $200,000. And so that's what they're going to always remember, is that that's what it cost them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But they don't realize that your brain has changed and now your complete focus is on getting this thing. And so, yeah, I'm going to be a different person. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the things you learn in recovery and AA. And also, you know, you learn by going to, you know, Al-Anon. I mean, what you got to talk about that. You know, 'cause a lot of people don't know about that.
Right.
And it's really, really powerful and it's really, really strong.
Oh, yeah, Al-Anon's really good because it gives the family, because we think we're just affecting ourselves, but that's not the case. We're affecting everyone around us, you know, in the process of destroying ourselves. Hurting everybody around us.
It's like somebody drops a grenade. We don't realize it's collateral damage.
Yeah.
Yes, my target is hit, but also everybody who's in that vicinity around me gets hit too. And then, you know, we find out that people who are in addiction, that their family members are more likely to have an addiction.
When my grandmother found out I was in jail, she was relieved.
She knew you was going to be safe.
Yeah.
It is. That's, people don't realize how much that is. That's how my friend Kevin, that was in recovery, that's what he said. He said that his mother was going to not have to worry about him anymore. You know what I'm saying? That's amazing. You don't realize it because it's so selfish. When you're in addiction, it's selfish. We don't realize it, but it's crazy. But it takes selfishness to get out of it as well.
And my mom, you know, that took time, like I said, but we're good now. Yeah. But she didn't trust me, you know, but she didn't have no reason to trust me. So that was something that I had to. And that just goes with those living amends. When we say living amends, you just got to live right and show the people around you who you are. That you're not that person, you're this person.
Now, I'll ask you something because experience in my life, and I want to know what you think about it. And I know we talked about you going home and the family not believing you or expecting you to actually change because they've seen you before.
Right.
What do you think about not only does the court make us go, because I think that's a good thing, especially if they find drugs in your system. I think they need to send your ass to treatment immediately. But what do you think about possibly saying the family, at least one member, if you have a person who's dealing with addiction, whether it be drugs or alcohol, have one person in the family, just like they mandatory make us go, make one person go to Al-Anon. Yeah. Because there is so much they don't get from not having.
They have their own step.
Yeah.
Everything.
And so when we get home, even if we trying our best, I'm trying to mind my business. I don't want to run the streets. I'm not trying to. Your family will still mess with you. They will push you back out there like
eggshells. You're walking on eggshells. And it's the same way when a person has had adultery in a relationship. If you don't give them a chance to do it, then every time they turn around, you're like, I bet you cheating. Who you talking to? You know what I'm saying? That's the same way it is in addiction. I bet you want some drugs. You know what I'm saying? And so,
man, they be all on you like they
Yeah, that's what we have. That's what we have this thing when we do it in community mental health and our things that we have family days where they can come in, they can learn about addiction, they can learn about what's happening, and we can talk to them. And it's not coming from a person that's like if Rachel's in addiction, she's trying to tell me that I'm like, oh, you're just trying to make an excuse for it.
Right.
If I come in here and somebody who's a therapist or a counselor or a doctor, and they telling you about it, you're more likely to understand that. It's still a choice, but at least you have some information. And what you want to do is you want to give them two sides to pull from. I can either, if I don't believe Rachel, I can at least believe this doctor or this therapist or somebody else. And they need it. I think they need Al-Anon. You don't even hear them talk about it much, but when I went to one of the treatments, I was like, when I went to a class, I was like, man, this was so good. It was really, really good because you don't know that. Because, a lot of us are still on the moral model. Is that if they love me, if they cared about me, they wouldn't do drugs or alcohol. And that's what a lot of family members think.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They don't know that your brain has actually changed and that, like Rachel said, now I'm doing things that I wasn't used to. I'm doing things, I'm pawning stuff, I'm getting things, I'm taking things. Because that's not who I am. I have changed, especially Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I've turned into Mr. Hyde because this drug has it is the catalyst for me doing this thing.
Yeah.
And they don't understand that, you know what I'm saying? And so when it happened, once you get off, it's kind of reverses. But guess what? That gene for Mr. Hyde is always in me because I've introduced him to me, and they don't realize that anything can pop that gene off. That's not to make an excuse for it, it's just to be aware. That's what counseling does. It makes you aware that, hey, I have a tendency to do these things, and by us not knowing, and one of the big things with addiction is that if you don't know that addiction is in your family, that's what messes a lot of people up. I don't know that my daddy has an addiction, and my mother's side had addiction. So when I use, then I'm more likely to be to abuse than anybody else, especially in the South. We don't talk about, our family history. And then my mama told me when I went to college, she came in, she said, hey, Warner, she said, hey, you got alcoholism on both sides of your family. If you go out there and start drinking, then more likely you're going to get addicted. You got gambling on both sides of your family. You know what I'm saying? So anytime I was to take a drink or anything like that, I remember that. You know what I'm saying? But some people don't know that, you know what I'm saying? And so you wonder, or you're a person that is impulsive or a risk taker, you're more likely to become an addiction. And a lot of times that's what counseling does. That's what part I like about that. Hey, you understand that you're up against this thing, and history has shown that more than likely you're not going to win. You know what I'm saying? So it's a process to understand that part. But anything else?
Yes, there is.
Come on, man.
I got one more. I know y'all been dealing with my stuff, so I want to throw one more at you guys before you get out of here. One more. I know we talk about AA is anonymous and the steps and the traditions. Is Al-Anon anonymous? And if not, here's the thing. If it is not anonymous and we know the benefit that it can give to people, especially those who dealing.
It is anonymous. Though.
Is it anonymous? I'm going to have to check on that one because I'm trying to get AA to do a podcast and they keep saying no. But what if we could create an Al-Anon style podcast or informational docu-series where we're taking those steps, those traditions, because that's the thing missing from society is we have the groups that work, they work very well, but we're hiding.
Yeah.
And we don't want people to judge us and we don't want people to judge them. And we're not really reaching those masses. Like this opioid thing is new. Like you were saying, I don't have experience with opioids, but I know it was like Coke, no big deal. I'm in here for a couple of days. I'm off it. I'm not shaking. I'm not tripping. I'm not falling out. No big deal. Nothing, alcohol, no big deal. But opioids, big deal. And I think if we take a example from the therapies and those treatments, and let's make that public. If it's not anonymous, I don't want to mess with them, but we need something public that the people can go and say, these steps work.
Yeah. We
know they work. We lived them. And even if I fall down, guess what I get back up and do? Where's my book? Step one. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm not embarrassed about the situation. I know it's a disease and I know I got it. No more than somebody who gets cancer. So I'm just wondering, would y'all be willing to help me do some research and find out if we can Al-Anon these people? Because we can't, AA you got to respect the traditions. But if Al-Anon is not anonymous, maybe.
Yeah.
Possibly. What if we could get something growing from that? It's almost like teaching the world how to be respectful to the people who are struggling, you know? And I think that's what it is we don't have the respect that a cancer patient has. We don't have the love and we don't get that love and respect and trust back, or even somebody to come and care.
Yeah.
Until it happens to them.
Gotcha.
So I was let you close your show out, Warner.
Close it out because I want Rachel not to be running from our show and be sad she came. I'm just playing. But Rachel, we are so glad to have you here, and never know, might get you back another time. But we have really enjoyed your insight, and so we're gonna close it right here. You know what I'm saying? So Rachel can get on out and we can get on out, but we have enjoyed it. And so we'll see y'all next time. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
And you're clear.